Hi guys, so it's Christmas time again, and the chill is in the air. And unfortunately, we are in Florida, and so we don't get any snow. But we are trying to get a feel of Christmas as much as we can. And so, when I was a child, I grew back in India, and during my childhood days, one of the most fond memories around Christmas, in addition to having a week long holiday from school, was around buying the fruit cake or the plum cake as we used to call it from the nearby store. And I used to relish the sweet plum cake. It used to melt in my mouth, and I have really fond memories associated with plum cake from back in India. And more than 10-12 years back, so I moved over to the US, and after I got here, I had almost forgotten the experiences of having a plum cake around Christmas because it wasn't popular here anymore. Um, but fast forward, just a couple of years back, one of my friends was kind enough to share a plum cake or a fruit cake that he had baked on his own based on an online recipe. And there it was. So I was back in love with plum cake again. It tasted so good and delicious. So I really wanted to make one myself. And I was like rediscovering my lost love for plum cakes or fruit cakes again. So for the last couple of years, what have I been doing? So I've been making my own version of the fruit cake around Christmas, and they have turned out pretty good so far. So you can see those pictures below. And so this time around, I thought of making a fruit cake and also recording it so that way, so I get to savor not just the sweetness of the fruit cake but also the memories of making the fruit cake through this video. So let's get started. So the recipe that I'm planning to follow is the fruitcake recipe by Anna Olson. The link is provided in the description. So here is the full set of ingredients almost. So let's look at them one by one. In terms of dry fruits, what do we have? So we have 1 cup of dried raisins, 1 cup of dried berries and cranberry, 1 cup of sliced pitted prunes. I have a cup of pineapple and cherry mix, and then I have a cup of crystallized sliced ginger, which can add a tinge of strong flavor. I also have ginger root, fresh ginger root. In terms of the nuts, I have cashew nuts. It's a personal preference. In India, we typically have a lot of cashew nuts in the fruit cake. I have blanched almonds, sliced almonds. It is not toasted because it has to. If it is toasted, then it will. You won't get the batter to get fluffy. And then you have pecan halves, which can be used to decorate on top of the cake. And I have 1 cup of dark brown sugar. Since the fruit cake is already dark brown in color, I don't think the color of the sugar matters much, so you can get really dark brown sugar. And the recipe also suggests adding some form of liquor. It says it can either be a sherry or brandy or rum. So right now what I have is almost 3/4 or 1 cup of sherry. So the first step is to put all the ingredients in and then soak it in this in sherry and keep it soaked overnight. So I missed mentioning one important ingredient, and that is candied diced orange peel, soaked in right now in orange juice. So it's better to soak them for a long period of time and then dice them or slice them into small pieces, and that will go along with these other dry fruits. So I took out all the orange peels that was soaked in orange juice. So I'm planning to dice and slice them into small pieces. So I have them all diced up, and that's one of the first things that goes into the bowl. Along with the orange juice. And then you can go on adding 1 cup of raisin, all the other dry fruits that you had kept ready, 1 cup of mixed cherry and cranberry, I'm sorry, and then 1 cup of diced pitted prunes, and then 1 cup of the crystallized ginger, which is one of my favorites, and then you can add the pineapple and cherry mix, and so just give it a mix, a good enough mix, and typically it fulfills half of this bowl, so that's kind of 6 cups of dried fruits altogether. The recipe that I followed says, because you are keeping it soaked overnight in the fridge, so why not make 2 cakes instead of 1, that you're putting all the effort, so that way it goes against the old adage which says you can't both have the cake and eat it too. So if you make 2, then you can both have a cake and then eat 1 as well. So in addition to the crystallized ginger and orange slices that's already in the mix, you can also add you can also grate some fresh ginger, a tablespoon of freshly grated ginger into the mix to enhance the taste, and same goes with a zest of orange from a peel, and also some lemon zest, 1 tablespoon each of these 3 can enhance the taste. So when it comes to ringing in the Christmas spirit, like I already mentioned, you need to have some form of spirit. So in this case, I have chosen sherry, and I'm adding close to a cup of sherry and soaking in all the fruits that we already added to the mix. So I'll just cover it with something and then keep it in the fridge overnight, so that it soaks in all the moist, the fruits become soft. So I have covered the bowl and I'm going to place it in the fridge. So while our candied fruit mix is soaking in high spirits in the fridge, we are planning to keep it in the fridge overnight. So let's get introduced to some of the ingredients that go into the cake batter. So that's 3 full eggs, all-purpose flour, and baking soda. So the recipe that I followed preferred baking powder and not baking soda, but since I don't have baking powder at home, I'm having to make do with baking soda. Let's see how things turn up with baking soda. And 1 cup of dark brown sugar and 1 full cube of unsalted butter. So the ingredients are all set for the batter, but we'll make the batter tomorrow. And once we take out guys, so it's day 2 of our fruitcake baking journey, and the candied fruits, dry fruits, raisins, cherries, etc., have been sitting in the fridge overnight for roughly more than 12 hours right now. So let them sit inside for a couple more hours, and so I am right now starting to begin preparation of the dry ingredients. So first up, so to prepare the cake batter, we need 3 whole eggs, 1 cube of unsalted butter, and 1 cup of dark brown sugar. And so right now what I'm trying to do is to blend them all in. We have an egg beater, so hopefully that works. If not, I'll have to use the blender. And the main ingredient that goes in the making of the cake batter is the all-purpose flour and the baking soda. So I've cut the butter into smaller cubes, put them in. I'm also adding the 1 cup of light brown sugar mix. And I'm going to use the egg beater. Let's see how that goes. It's the first time I'm using this, so I'm a little nervous. Well, using the egg beater really didn't go that well. So I'm back to using the conventional blender. Yeah, let's see. You might have to mix it up a little bit because it's one last time. So now you can start adding the eggs one at a time. And you add it one at a time just because before you turn on the blender, if you find any part of the shell, you could just quickly remove it. And so that's the reason for adding the eggs one at a time. I could also use the egg beater for this purpose right now, but let's go with the blender first and then move on to the egg beater. So that's 3 eggs. So the egg and butter mix looks much better now, more fine after a couple of rounds of blending. And now I can transfer it to the egg beater and give it one more whir. Back to the egg beater. Hopefully this time it doesn't fail us. Well, that gave it a nice little whir, and it makes the cake slightly more fluffy, I think, if the eggs are beaten properly. Another important ingredient to the batter is the untoasted almond powder. And so since I don't have ready-made almond powder, I'm planning to use the blanched untoasted almonds and then blend them in the mixer so that I get a fine powder. Let's see. Fine almond powder. The fact that it is untoasted adds to the fluffiness of the cake batter. So the freshly ground almond powder has been added to the mix of egg and butter and sugar. We get to the most important ingredient of this fruit cake, or what forms the core of the fruit cake, is the all-purpose flour. So I'm planning to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm planning to put it into the blend. That's 1, and that's the 2nd cup. I'm also adding about a teaspoon of baking soda, not more than that, because fruit cake is not really meant to be that fluffy, so 1 teaspoon is good enough. The other stuff that goes into the cake batter is the spirit, and in this case I'm adding like a quarter cup of sherry, and then this will all go into the blender and get nicely blended. So after 1 round of blending, it doesn't really look that very well blended, so I'll give it another whir. Definitely looks much more well blended after a couple of rounds. So let's transfer this back to the bowl and mix it along with the candied fruits. There you go, that's the finely blended cake batter. And couple of more ingredients that you can add before you bring out the candied fruits from the fridge outside is pecans and cashew nuts. So I'm going to break them into smaller pieces, smaller halves, and then add it to the batter mix. So cashews weren't originally part of the recipe that I followed, but cashews bring in an Indianness to the fruit cake, so I'm including cashews as well. So it's finally time to bring out those candied fruits from the fridge. They've been sitting in the fridge for slightly more than 12 hours, and they are probably, the longer they stay in the fridge the better, but since I have constraints of time, so I'm taking it out around 12 hours. So this is how the candied cherries, mixed berries, pitted prunes, pineapple, and crystallized ginger look after a night of soaking it in the sherry and keeping it inside the fridge. So now it's time to bring in the batter mix and mix it in the bowl of fruits. So there you go. So that's the nicely blended cake batter mix along with the candied fruits that we took out of the fridge. So they've been well mixed. I hope every slice has a good chunk of dried fruits and nuts. Now that the blend is all set, it's time to take out your baking trays, parchment paper, grease them nicely, and your oven mittens, and then spread the batter onto the baking trays. So I didn't start off thinking that I'll be able to make 2, but it so turns out that I have enough batter, and so I can spread it into 2 baking trays, one with a small cake and another one that's slightly bigger in size. So yeah, let's go. So the oven has already been preheated to 300 degree Fahrenheit, and cakes are best baked in slow cooking, so you need to keep this for at least 2 hours to 2 hours 15 minutes. So the batter has now been spread into 2 baking trays, one small and one big. Just give it a couple of minutes for the batter to settle in, and to top it all, you can add pecans on top of the cake. I have topped both the cakes with pecan halves. They look really pretty right now. and the oven has been preheated to 300 degree Fahrenheit, so it's time to put them inside. Now that you've done all the hard work and also started the baking timer for 2 hours, it's time for you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy some Christmas shows on TV, or maybe deck up a snowman or deck up your Christmas tree or something. So 2 hours have passed. So I'm just testing if the cake is ready uh, using a fork and piercing, and it seems like it's very fluffy for a fruit cake, but I'll probably let it remain for another 15 minutes. Let's take a look back after 15 minutes. At the end of 2 hours and 15 minutes long wait, the cakes are out of the oven. So here is the bigger one. It's only marginally bigger than the smaller one, which is roughly same size. I'm glad both of them are out in one piece. So what's next? Um, we can apply or brush uh, almost maybe uh, a quarter of a cup of sherry on top of the cakes before even when they are hot. So there they are, the two fruit cakes for the effort of one. They're all ready on the dining table. So enjoy. Harsha, how is the cake? Yummy? Yummy. 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 Yummy.